Welcome back to Crypto Equation, and today we are stepping directly into a topic that has been whispering across every corner of digital finance, a topic that many sense is building beneath the surface, but cannot fully explain a moment that feels both inevitable and invisible. At the same time, the massive shift forming around XRP. Not a price shift, not a hype shift, but a structural shift, a global shift, a systemic shift that is unfolding quietly through institutions, governments, payment networks, and financial architecture all at once. When people say a massive XRP shift is incoming, they do not mean a moment of excitement. They mean a change in the world. XRP was built for a world that is finally catching up to the technology that has been waiting for years. Today we explore exactly why this shift is forming, what forces are driving it, and why those who understand it early feel an urgency in their spirit, the urgency to prepare. Because everything happening around XRP right now is not random. It is connected to something bigger than markets, something bigger than speculation, something bigger than narratives. It is connected to the transformation of global value, the modernization of financial rails, and the re-architecting of the systems that move money across the planet. This shift is not loud yet, it is not public yet, it is not chaotic yet, but it is building quietly under the weight of global necessity. And once you see the pattern, you realize this is one of the most significant transitions in the entire digital era. To understand this shift properly, we must first acknowledge a truth most people avoid. The world is still operating on financial infrastructure older than the internet. Payment rails created in the 1970s, messaging standards created in the 1980s, settlement systems created in the 1960s. These systems were not designed for instant value movement, global digital commerce, tokenized assets, artificial intelligence automation, or 24-hour global markets. They were built for a slower world, a world of paper forms and local banking, a world that no longer exists. And yet the global economy still relies on these outdated rails. This mismatch between global activity and global infrastructure has become too large to ignore. The world has reached a breaking point. The old systems cannot carry the weight of modern commerce. They cannot support digital currencies. They cannot support instant settlement. They cannot support real-time global flows. This is why the shift is coming, because the world does not modernize when it wants to. The world modernizes when it has no other choice, and we have reached that moment. Now let us explore why XRP sits directly inside this shift. XRP was not created for speculation. It was not created as a meme. It was not created to follow hype cycles. It was engineered as a settlement mechanism for the exact world we are entering. Now a world of instant cross-border value movement, a world of interoperable payment systems, a world of tokenized assets moving across networks, a world of digital liquidity, replacing pre-funded accounts, a world where institutions require a bridge asset that is fast, neutral, efficient, and reliable. For years, the world was not ready for this. Now it is. This is the source of the shift. It is not that XRP suddenly changed, it is that the world finally changed into the system XRP was designed for. But let us go deeper into the forces driving this shift, because this is where the real story is unfolding. The first force is global synchronization. For the first time in decades, institutions across the world are upgrading their systems at the same time. Banks are upgrading, payment networks are upgrading, governments are upgrading, corporations are upgrading. This synchronized modernization is unprecedented. It is not happening because of preference. It is happening because the world has reached a technological threshold that demands new infrastructure. The second force is the rise of digital currencies. More than 100 countries are researching or building central bank digital currencies. These currencies cannot function on outdated rails. They require modern messaging, real-time settlement, and instantaneous interoperability. They require systems capable of moving value across borders without delay. The third force is the tokenization of real-world assets. Stocks, bonds, real estate, carbon credits, financial instruments, trade finance, documents, identity systems, everything is being tokenized. Tokenized value must move instantly. It cannot wait for outdated settlement systems. The fourth force is regulation. Governments are defining frameworks for digital assets because they know the global system is shifting. This regulatory clarity is one of the last barriers to global adoption, and it is being removed country by country, region by region. The fifth force is institutional necessity. Banks and corporations cannot afford slow settlement anymore. The cost is too high. The inefficiency is too severe. The economic drag is too damaging. The shift is not optional, it is structural. These five forces are pushing the world into a new financial era, and XRP stands at the intersection of all of them. This is why the shift feels massive. because it is not one thing, it is everything at once. Now let us explore the architecture of this shift, because the architecture reveals the timing. The world is transitioning into a settlement system that looks very different from the one we grew up with. In the old model, value moved slowly across borders through correspondent banking chains that relied on pre-funded accounts. In the new model, value will move as fast as data. It will move across networks instantly. It will move through assets that bridge systems instead of assets that sit still. XRP is one of the assets designed for this new model, not because of hype, because of architecture. But to truly understand the shift, you must understand liquidity. Liquidity is the foundation of global payments. Without liquidity, nothing can move. But liquidity today is trapped in accounts around the world. Trapped liquidity weakens global commerce. Trapped liquidity slows trade. Trapped liquidity increases cost. The world cannot operate efficiently like this anymore. The shift is toward mobile liquidity. Liquidity that moves instead of waits. Liquidity that flows instead of sits. Liquidity that can be sourced on demand instead of pre-funding corridors. This is the world XRP was designed for. Now let us explore another layer, the messaging shift. The world is transitioning to ISO 2022, the new global messaging language for finance. This standard carries rich data, deep structure, and universal compatibility. It enables the global system to communicate cleanly. But messaging alone is not enough. Once messaging becomes instant, settlement must match. This is where XRP's architecture becomes relevant because the system is being upgraded around the exact qualities XRP was designed with. Now let us explore something even more important, the psychological acceleration of this shift. Once people realize that the future of global payments requires instant settlement, the narrative changes. People start paying attention. Institutions start accelerating their upgrades. Governments start prioritizing digital frameworks. The shift becomes self-reinforcing. And once a shift becomes self-reinforcing, it becomes unstoppable. This is why many people feel something big is coming. They sense the acceleration. They sense the global pressure. They sense the momentum building. They sense the alignment of forces that rarely align at the same time. Now let us go deeper into the emotional truth behind the phrase "prepare now." Preparation does not mean predictions. Preparation does not mean expecting outcomes. Preparation means understanding the direction of global systems and aligning your awareness with that direction. It means seeing the shift forming before it becomes obvious to the world. It means recognizing that the global financial system is not just evolving, it is being rebuilt. Preparation is awareness. Preparation is understanding. Preparation is clarity. Now let us explore the institutional angle, because this is where the meaning becomes impossible to ignore. Institutions do not adopt technologies because of hype. They adopt them because of necessity. They adopt them because they solve real problems at global scale. They adopt them because the next era of finance cannot operate on outdated rails. Instant settlement is becoming the standard. Cross-border interoperability is becoming the standard. Data-rich messaging is becoming the standard. Real-time commerce is becoming the standard. Tokenized value movement is becoming the standard. And XRP aligns with each one of these standards. This is the shift. Now let us explore the idea of inevitability. Digital transformation does not move backward. Once the world sees the efficiency of instant settlement, it cannot return to slow settlement. Once it sees the efficiency of interoperable rails, it cannot return to fragmentation. Once it sees the efficiency of tokenized value, it cannot return to paper-based systems. The shift only moves forward. This is why you feel something coming, because the world is moving into the system XRP was engineered for. Now let us explore the deeper psychological meaning behind this moment. The people who sense the shift early are not following predictions. They are following patterns. They are following structural pressure. They are following technological necessity. They are following the modernization of systems older than the internet. They feel the urgency, not because of outcome, but because of alignment. They sense the importance, not because of charts, but because of architecture. They recognize the shift because they see the world changing around them. Now let us turn to the global angle, because this is where the magnitude becomes clear. Every major region in the world is preparing for a financial upgrade. Europe, Asia, the Middle East, Africa, Latin America, North America, the world is synchronizing. This synchronization is rare. It only happens when the system reaches a point where remaining still becomes more dangerous than evolving. The world is at that point, and XRP exists inside the solution. The first half of this script has revealed why this shift is forming. The second half will explore how this shift unfolds, what forces will accelerate it, what it means for global settlement, what it means for digital value, and why being aware of this moment now places you ahead of the system the world will soon depend on. Because now that we understand why the shift is forming, we must explore how it unfolds. Because global transformations do not arrive in one moment, they arrive through pressure, coordination, necessity, and systemic evolution. A massive shift does not appear suddenly. It builds silently. Then all at once, the world realizes the old system no longer works, and the new system has already been built beneath the surface, waiting for activation. This is exactly what is happening around XRP. The world is not preparing for a new payment technology, it is preparing for a new financial architecture, a new network design, a new liquidity model, and a new relationship between value and information. And XRP sits inside this transition, not because of speculation, but because of alignment with the rails being rebuilt for the digital era. To understand how the shift unfolds, we first look at the messaging layer. The world is migrating to ISO 2022, the new language of global finance. This shift enables structured, rich, intelligent data to move across financial networks worldwide. Once messaging becomes intelligent, settlement must match that intelligence. This creates inevitable pressure towards systems that support real-time movement of value. XRP thrives in this environment because it was engineered for instant settlement with finality. As messaging becomes smarter, settlement must become faster. The second stage of the shift occurs through liquidity modernization. Institutions can no longer afford trillions of dollars trapped in nostro accounts around the world. This locked liquidity slows markets, weakens banks, and restricts global efficiency. The future requires mobile liquidity that moves on demand liquidity, that responds instantly to global flows. XRP represents a model of liquidity movement, not storage. The shift accelerates when institutions realize the cost savings and efficiency gains offered by modern settlement rails. The third stage of the shift occurs through tokenization. The world is beginning to tokenize everything: stocks, real estate, bonds, carbon assets, supply chain instruments, commodities, identity, and ownership layers. Tokenized value cannot rely on outdated settlement systems. It must move instantly across platforms for automation and real-time commerce to function. XRP's architecture supports tokenized settlement. As tokenization expands, so does the need for rails that support it. The fourth stage of the shift occurs through regulatory alignment. Nations are building frameworks for digital assets because they understand financial transformation cannot happen without regulation. As regulations become clearer, institutions feel safer adopting new settlement technologies. Regulatory clarity is one of the strongest accelerators of systemic shifts. The fifth stage of the shift is adoption through necessity. Institutions adopt new systems when the old ones become unsustainable. The old rails are becoming too slow, too expensive, too complex, and too fragmented. The shift does not occur because institutions choose modern systems. The shift occurs because they must, and the systems built for this new era become relevant overnight. The sixth stage of the shift is global synchronization. Multiple regions modernizing at the same time creates momentum that cannot be reversed. Once the world agrees on modern messaging and modern settlement standards, the shift becomes inevitable. XRP exists directly inside that alignment because it was designed for those standards long before the world adopted them. Now let us explore the emotional side of this shift, because massive global moments are never purely technical. Humans sense patterns before they understand them. They feel momentum before they can describe it. They sense acceleration before it becomes visible. Many XRP holders cannot explain why they feel the shift coming, but they feel it because the signals are everywhere. Institutions updating their systems, governments building digital currency frameworks, payment networks adopting new global standards, liquidity models changing, tokenization rising. The signals create a psychological pattern, one of anticipation, one of readiness, one of awareness. This is where the message "prepare" now comes from. It is not about prediction. It is about awareness. It is about understanding that global systems do not shift often, but when they do, they redefine everything. Now let us explore the geopolitical layer, because financial infrastructure is not just technology, it is national strategy. Countries want stronger payment systems to attract international trade. Faster settlement strengthens economies. Interoperability increases competitiveness. Nations modernizing at the financial infrastructure level gain long-term economic advantages. This is why so many regions are accelerating digital transformation, and XRP fits into this because it is neutral, interoperable, and capable of settling value across borders without national bias. The next truth is market evolution. The global market is becoming faster and more interconnected. Markets now operate continuously, digital commerce operates continuously, data flows continuously, and settlement must match this pace. Markets realize that outdated settlement slows everything. Trade finance securities, payments, currency exchange, and cross-border activity. The shift toward instant settlement creates demand for assets that can support it. Now let us explore automation, because automation is pushing financial systems toward real-time rails. Artificial intelligence will automate liquidity management payments, settlement compliance, and risk monitoring. Automation cannot operate with settlement delays. It needs immediate confirmation. It needs finality. XRP offers this. The shift intensifies as automation expands globally. We must now explore the deepest layer of this entire shift, the shift from financial communication to financial intelligence. Old financial systems communicate with limited data. New systems communicate with intelligent, structured data. This intelligence changes everything. It enables automated compliance. It enables instant verification. It enables real-time tracking. It enables smart settlement flows. It enables global transparency. And when intelligence increases, the need for instant settlement increases with it. This is where XRP aligns perfectly, because it was built not just for speed, but for settlement that responds in real time to intelligent systems. Now let us explore the momentum of adoption, because momentum in global finance does not happen instantly. It builds layer by layer, then accelerates rapidly. First comes infrastructure upgrades, then comes digital currency frameworks, then comes messaging modernization, then comes tokenization, then comes automation. Once all these layers are in motion, settlement must evolve. This is when the shift becomes unavoidable. In this stage, assets built for settlement enter the global spotlight. Now let us explore the next force: institutional interoperability. Institutions do not want multiple fragmented rails. They want universal systems that can connect their networks to global networks. Universal systems reduce risk, reduce cost, reduce friction, and increase efficiency. XRP is built for universal interoperability because it can bridge systems without belonging to any one of them. This neutrality is a massive advantage in a world moving toward global rails. Another part of the shift comes from the financial lifecycle. The lifecycle of a transaction includes messaging verification, compliance, liquidity sourcing, and settlement. Old rails separate each stage. New rails merge them into a single real-time process. XRP's architecture supports merge settlement. Now let us explore the tipping point. A tipping point occurs when enough global systems adopt modern rails that legacy systems become unsustainable. This tipping point is approaching because most major regions are already in upgrade mode. The global system cannot delay much longer. Once the tipping point arrives, the shift becomes irreversible. This is why awareness matters now, because once global rails are activated, the new system becomes the default system. Now let us explore the concept of silent acceleration. Silent acceleration occurs when institutions adopt technology internally without announcing it publicly. Most updates happen quietly. Testing happens quietly. Integration happens quietly. The world only sees the results once systems go live. This silent acceleration is already happening. Payments are becoming faster. Cross-border flows are becoming smoother. Digital rails are being tested everywhere. The world is aligning behind the scenes. Now let us explore the final layer, the personal meaning behind this shift. People sense the need to prepare because they recognize the world is undergoing a transformation that happens once every several decades. The financial system is not adjusting. It is rebuilding, and XRP is part of that rebuilding process. Prepare now does not mean predict outcomes. It does not mean expect explosive events. It does not mean assume instant results. It means understand the direction of global systems so that you are not caught off guard when the world transitions fully into the digital settlement era. Preparation means awareness. Preparation means understanding. Preparation means recognizing the patterns forming globally. Preparation means seeing the shift before it becomes visible to everyone else. Because once the shift becomes visible, it will already be in motion. The massive XRP shift incoming is not about speculation. It is about alignment with global modernization. It is about being aware of the forces restructuring the financial system. It is about understanding that the world is entering a new digital era where settlement is instant value, mobile systems are interoperable, and infrastructure is intelligent. And XRP is one of the technologies designed for this era. That is why people feel the urgency. That is why the shift feels massive. That is why preparation matters now. The world is transforming. The system is changing. The rails are updating. The future is unfolding. And XRP sits inside the architecture of that future. The first half of this script has revealed why this shift is forming. The second half will explore how this shift unfolds, what forces will accelerate it, what it means for global settlement, what it means for digital value, and why being aware of this moment now places you ahead of the system the world will soon depend on.